Welcome back to Absolutely. My name is Benny, and today we're going to be talking about, are we expecting too much as fans of the MCU and franchises in general? So,
yeah.
This... All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you
Thanks for watching.
So today's video is brought to you by our sponsors, G Fuel. Use the code COMICS at checkout, and make sure you go check out Into the AM. The link is down below. Get some of the softest shirts ever. I'm wearing one underneath this. Anyway, is that too much skin? We're gonna get banned. Oh, he's you gotta lower it, and then you gotta wear a gold chain, Dylan. That's Dylan. That's Sal. Let's talk about our topic today. All right, so I want to bring this up because the latest episode of She-Hulk drops, and I'm not going to spoil She-Hulk, but I am going to spoil an expectation. Everyone, every week since like episode 2 is like, Daredevil's going to be in She-Hulk.
Right.
And we are now on episode 7, and other than seeing the top of his cowl, we have not seen Daredevil.
No,
And
we've seen more Daredevil in the trailers than we have in the show.
So the fan base is demanding that this is one of the reasons that She-Hulk as a show is a failure, is that they did not bring in Daredevil. And while we can go up and down about the current state of demanding Daredevil in a different show to improve a show, supposedly, this has been a reoccurring theme recently of people deciding that these movies or shows are failures based on the rumored characters not arriving earlier or at all.
Right.
Multiverse of Madness had a plethora. I could say it. Plethora.
You're adding so many letters there.
Of characters that were supposedly going to arrive, from the entire X-Men cast to like other shows characters supposedly arriving in some way.
Yeah, Mephisto.
The Mephisto thing all the way back from WandaVision. Loki was going to be Kang in the end, and he still never showed up.
Remember how Quicksilver just won everybody?
I remember, I've been rewatching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recently, and I'm on the season where the whole Hive thing where Simmons gets trapped on a planet. And I remember back then, the popular theories was that the planet was Ego and Hive was Death. And
no.
And watching it now, we were insane to think that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's just not the case at all.
No, all the it's all part of the machine. Like the problem is like the narrative of saying that She-Hulk is ruined because Daredevil isn't in it is inherently erroneous, because the show isn't ruined by not having a character in it. Like unless the character She-Hulk that's not in it, you've ruined, like you haven't ruined the show.
You should be disliking She-Hulk for reasons that are pertaining to She-Hulk. I don't like the sitcom format. I don't like the banter. I feel like it's a sitcom on wheels. Those are all valid. She-Hulk sucks because Daredevil's not in it is not a valid critique of the show.
Right. And it's just, you can critique the show for that, for like the misleading nature of it, like the fact that like both trailers had Daredevil in it, and they were in, and I remember the showrunners even said something to the effect of like, oh, Daredevil's in the show. Like they were like hyping it up.
Daredevil has been in the shows since before episode 1. So like I think it's fair to like go in with that expectation that, especially when, you know, Daredevil's a lawyer, She-Hulk's a lawyer, you might immediately think like, oh, there's going to be an early arc where it's Matt versus Jen, like there's some kind of lawyer fight. Which I think that's a fair like expectation to set up. I do think they've fumbled it a little bit by drawing attention to She-Hulk by teasing Daredevil so early, knowing full well that we're not getting him until the last 2, maybe the very last episode.
I mean that's an argument to be had, that they're teasing the last episodes of the show. Like
that's.
But that's a different argument.
And that's a failing on their part. Like that's a failing where it's like you created expectations and then you reap the whirlwind of it.
Yeah. If anything, Daredevil should have been hyped up at the mid-season teasers, where he should have been hyped up when they hyped up her uniform, which we also still haven't seen.
Remember back in Hawkeye when we were all like freaking out as the episodes were coming out? I was like, is Kingpin in this? What's going on?
That's like a really good example.
Told us that.
No, that was a really good example of it working. Them being like, Kingpin? When he kept talking about the big man, where we're like, could it be?
Is it Kingpin?
Could it be Kingpin? And then, boom, the episode that we started thinking, could it be Kingpin, is the same episode they were like, it's Kingpin. And then the next episode, Kingpin appeared in the show. Just really good pacing and managing expectations. Like, no one was like, dude, Hawkeye, I got plenty of theories about Hawkeye. Like, no, they were just like, I'm watching Hawkeye, and then boom, Kingpin. You know, we all kind of were. I think they said that Black Widow was going to be in it. You know, like Blonde Widow, but and then she was, and it worked out. You know, that's one of the few shows that like remained unscathed from like expectations.
Right.
But yeah, no, this whole like, I think both parties have kind of screwed up. Like Marvel screwed up by misleading what the show was about, because you found out like when they teased the show. I remember like one of the earlier posters for a show was like a recreation of the cover of like She-Hulk walking up the steps to the courthouse, and
right.
People all like being like, man, this is gonna be awesome, myself included. What a cool show this is going to be, like a police procedural or a courtroom procedural about superheroes starring She-Hulk. If it's an adaptation of the Dan Slott run, it'll be a lot of fun, a lot of yucks, but also it's like some fun courtroom drama. And then after the show debuts, to have the showrunners or writers go, we're not really good at writing courtroom stuff, so we didn't. Like, we just thought it'd be funny to like write for the show.
Before the show came out.
Like a week before the show, they're like, oh, we didn't write any courtroom stuff because it's hard. And I'm like,
yeah, we're not good at it.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, that's a different discussion, because I wholeheartily believe, like, look, if you don't want to write that stuff, that's perfectly fine. You don't tell the world. Don't tell anyone. Just don't tell anyone.
Right, like, that's something where it's like you thought that was funny, and like the room thought it was funny, but like you have to keep that shit to yourself.
It goes back to a thing I saw on the show Reboot, but that's a different discussion. That'll get us way off rails, because I want to get back to the topic here.
Okay.
Because if we go all the way back to, I remember people saying with Spider-Man No Way Home,
yeah,
that if Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were not in that movie, it was going to be a complete failure, and it was all a wash, and they wouldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the situation we're at, and there are people saying that without Daredevil and She-Hulk, it's garbage, and that there's Multiverse of Madness, people being like, well, I heard all these rumors, and they didn't show up.
Yeah.
So that movie's also garbage.
Right.
I pulled up a list of incorrect Marvel fan theories, and most of these we were hearing pretty prevalently, and... Yeah, I like how you're giggling. Like, this is going to be great.
I can't wait. Yeah, I'm hyped. Good
okay,
job.
so
job.
I thought, just to go into, are we expecting too much? Mm-hmm. These are some of the biggest expectations. Now, this list is curated by BuzzFeed. So, take it for what you want with BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed hired a bunch of like actual like journalists and stuff for a while.
Yeah,
I don't know if they've
bad.
actually. Yeah,
this is not CBR.
Yeah.
But anyway. I remember this theory going around that Wolverine was Infinity War and Endgame because Thanos had 3 scratches on his face. And it was indicating that Wolverine was going to arrive. People were upset that there was no Wolverine in there. Uh-huh. And this is before the Fox merger. Keep that in mind. So, there was no chance of there being a Wolverine cameo.
Did we ever... I don't remember every scene of Infinity War or Endgame. Did we ever get an answer to who caused those scratches, or were they just there?
They were just there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This was another one that I remember people saying that if this was true, they were going to hate all of the MCU.
Oh, okay.
That everything supernatural was just Asgardian, and they were implying Mandarin's rings were as well.
Okay.
That it was all just Asgardian. That was the reason why this stuff exists.
Oh, why would they think that?
I don't remember hearing that one, but I do remember hearing people be like, I remember people talking in passing, but like I don't remember that being a big prevalent theory that people were boycotting the MCU over.
No.
This one I remember hearing about, that Red Skull was alive and Alexander Pearson, Captain America the Winter Soldier, was actually him.
I don't remember if I heard that one, but like...
so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been a cool reveal. He just like, aha!
I was expecting Zola, where he opens up his shirt and Zola's face is in his
Zola would have been
but,
cool.
But
he went
yeah,
to
either
space
way.
somewhere. He was assumed dead. I don't know. That would have been weird. And we got like a Zola reveal. Like we got the...
Yeah, we did that.
It's all Hydra, blah, blah, blah. Didn't need Red Skull to show up. That would have been a little lame.
Yeah.
This theory I do remember going around. I don't remember this part of the theory, but I do remember the theory that Vulture was going to show up much earlier than he did.
Oh, really?
And there was a theory going around that Vulture was actually Sam's former partner in the Air Force, and that after he was shot down during the mission, he was recruited and brainwashed by the remaining minions of Hydra and given a new wingsuit and some shit that made him Vulture.
Oh my god! Bro, this is why fans don't write these things. Like, don't write movies.
That's
a whole backstory for Vulture,
right?
Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember hearing Vulture's going to show up much earlier than he did, based on Falcon, being there and being, we're going to get Vulture. But I don't remember they had a whole backstory and he was friends with Sam and
no,
that's crazy.
I like the idea of there being like a link between them because like they're both flight suits, but at the same time, you don't need it, and it's just like that. It reeks of fan fiction.
Yeah, totally.
So the other theory, and I didn't hear this one, but that the snap actually created the split the universe's population in two, creating two mirror image universes with the other snapped half existing in their own world, where the other 50% had disappeared.
Oh,
how are people coming to these conclusions? These aren't these are just like, this is what I want to see.
Yeah,
this
that's it.
Not
That's
theories.
I have a reason for giving you some of these more crazier theories that are supposedly making it. Okay, we're gonna get to this. Okay.
Okay. All right. All right.
Number 6 is, after it was pretty clear that Endgame would have time travel, there was a theory that Captain America would go back in time to be with Peggy, and that Stan Lee cameos would be revealed to be the aged Cap checking in on his friends all those years later. That would have been a cool twist, though. I would have liked that as a twist in the end.
No, aged Cap looks like Joe Biden. He doesn't look like Stan Lee.
No, I agree with that. But that would have been a cool, imagine that.
Yeah, I would have been
Stan
okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have had to change his accent. It's a cute idea, but
strange.
I would not have been okay with it. I would have been okay with it, but it wouldn't have aged well.
He's already a watcher.
Yeah.
By that
now
point,
he's a watcher.
so.
Yeah.
This one I did hear a lot of. All the theories that Thanos was actually a red herring and the true boss was in Endgame and they were going to fight a nihilist.
That would have sucked so much.
I always said that one was dumb. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you throw all of your stuff into one?
Ha! Wasn't him.
It was actually this bug robot.
Yeah, this thing you don't know about. What?
Right.
There's the theory that Thor was going to die in Endgame because he was barely in the trailers.
These are just theories. These are not theories.
I'm pretty sure that was to hide the fact he got the beer gut.
For Endgame, did big time.
Yeah, I mean, Endgame's trailers were pretty much cut explicitly on footage from before the time jump.
Yes.
Which is crazy for a studio to do something like that, and I applaud them for it. But yeah, that makes sense. They wanted to hide that.
Number 9 is that Captain America was going to die in Endgame because he has to in order to complete his arc, and that Tony would survive and retire because it fits his character.
They got that backwards.
Yeah. I love the description of I love when people say oh, it's out of character, and I'm like, based on what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone going nuts about the meaning of I Love You 3000. Everyone seemed to think that it was a hidden message about the total runtime of the MCU up to that point, even though it didn't add up.
Why?
Some even went as far as to argue that it had to include Far From Home's runtime, which then went over, and it all finally died when Robert Downey Jr. said that he added it because it's what he says to his own kids. Nothing to do with the MCU or the runtime.
People are crazy. That's crazy. Ever since James Gunn was like, there's an Easter egg in Guardians that no one's found, fans have lost their minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the reason I wanted to bring up some of these more wilder ones, some of which I have heard and saw discourse over, some of them I didn't, but I also followed the Twitterverse for a lot of this crap a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Those back in the day were sporadic when we would see them.
Yeah.
We would the more crazier theories. They wouldn't pop up all the time. Every other day now we have something. With so many Twitter accounts and everything making up random theories about stuff going on, which leads to what happened with Spider-Man Far From Home, Multiverse of Madness, and now what's happening with She-Hulk. Where everyone is auto-assuming they know what's going to happen, spouting their theories off on their platform, and then being like, oh my God, how could I have gotten it wrong?
Yeah.
I had it. MCU changed it because I got it too close. That was one of the ones from Multiverse. Remember the Multiverse of Madness one? Multiverse of Madness, Dylan, if you weren't tracking that discussion. They claimed all of their cameos were actually in the script, but they all got cut for time. So they were technically correct.
Oh, I do remember hearing some of this. Yeah. It's like, no, you're just wrong. You can be wrong. That's okay.
No! Based my whole identity around being right about everything all the time.
Correct.
So, I mean, what do you guys think, though? We're in a weird point now where the expectation for a program is the rumor mill, not what they've shown us.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I don't watch trailers. Say that once per video. Get that in there.
You got to get that one in there.
Yeah, my
just like I have to mispronounce something once per video.
Right. We all have our thing. It's I don't like expectations, even if they're unintended or whatever, being set up. I like going into things completely blind, so I try to stay away from like the rumor mill and everything as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, there's stuff like, especially I feel like No Way Home was the biggest example of like it was completely unavoidable. Like if you open Twitter and everyone was losing their minds about rumors and everything, and most of them turned out to be real, which is crazy. That like I'm almost certain that most of the No Way Home leaks were planted at this point.
Oh yeah, no,
I still have that theory. I still think
and the Andrew Garfield footage of him on the blue screen. There's no way that was just put out there by Marvel.
That was a high res release. Like that was an actual. Like that wasn't like a shaky picture. Like that. No. Yeah.
I feel someone in Sony's marketing PR was leaking those photos to individuals to put out there, kind of a thing. Like, check out what I got. You're not going to believe it. I think that may have started what the problem is, because a lot of this current speculation, it's only really been this powerful in the last year.
Yeah.
Where people are like, no, this is happening. How could it not have happened?
Right.
You know, and I feel like a lot of that did come out of Spider-Man No Way Home, because we've said it before. People have built entire careers of speculating on the MCU based on what happened in No Way Home. And people have seen that. Just like in a previous discussion we had where early days, there wasn't as many people just hating on everything, but it's almost a career to just hate on things now.
Oh, no, it is. Right. It straight up is. Like, not just hate. Well, it's like starting rumors, being angry at everything, making up stuff, like just drama, or just making up rumors. I mean, like, where I see most of my rumors now are from Twitter and from pretty much one source, and it's like Marvel Direct, but it's something where they've spelled it wrong. Like they're not an official source of any kind. I don't know where the hell they get it from, but like there's a myriad of Twitter accounts that all say Marvel with the number 3 in them, or have or use the number 4 for the A. You know, it's just like some nonsense that
muted.
Right, the equivalent of the scene in Pulp Fiction when they kill Marvin and they have to like cover the car with like quilts, you know, to cover up like all of the like carnage that took place in the car when they drive it to the junkyard, like that. Yeah. So it's like it's just enough subterfuge so that if you look at it quickly, you can see the rumor and then internalize it, then react and maybe retweet it, but not like look at it closely enough to be like, this is nothing. It has no followers and it's from nowhere. It's just a made up nonsense thing. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. This whole the industry of superhero movies, and particularly like the shared universe, has created cottage industries, and those cottage industries like are tricking the industries that they came from into thinking they're essential. You know what I mean? Like Marvel and DC, like Warner Brothers and Disney. Like I guess they like think these guys are important. You know, and when I say these guys, I guess we're part of that. You know, because we talk about it online professionally.
I think we're. Yeah, but the difference...
I mean, we are part of that wheel, but we try to be the positive side of that.
Well, we're not...
But even
we're commentating on that kind of thing as opposed to being like, this is the rumor.
Right.
Yeah,
like that's the difference between us and them, is that they're over there making stuff, and I feel like this was accelerated and, you know, reached new heights with No Way Home, is because, like you said, Sal, like, cottage industries were made on talking about rumors and being the guy that knows the stuff that you don't.
Yes.
And now it's like we're in a spot where it's even crazier now because the MCU is so kind of directionless and we don't know where anything's going, to the point where like randomly a Deadpool and Wolverine team-up movie can get announced and no one saw that coming.
That's true. That's true.
And like that just spawns people talking out their ass and saying that they're correct and citing nothing as a source.
Right, absolutely.
It almost reminds me all the way back when I was a kid. You'd have the guy that's like, well, my dad knows someone at Nintendo, and there is a Pokemon, you know, purple coming out.
Yeah.
So you might want to hype up for that. Like,
they were right. It just took a long time. We're getting Pokemon Violet now.
Violet. It's not purple though. Do you not know your shades of color? Come on, Dylan.
It's close enough. They changed the name over the, like 20 years.
And remember when we were kids, that was always the coolest kid in the playground. The guy who had a dad who had an uncle who had a, you know what I mean? Like,
that was me, but it was just because I read Cerebi.net, so I knew all the stuff about Pokemon before my friends did.
I remember one time when I was a kid coming up with rumors, and I made up a Sonic the Hedgehog TV show. So I was talking to buddies, and we had to be like 9, 10 o'clock, and it was like we were talking about the latest Sonic the Hedgehog TV show, and it just happened. I just started talking about this show that didn't exist. Like, it just didn't exist.
Liar.
And I was making up like a backstory to some character in it. And then they were like, well, why isn't that airing at regular hours? And I'm like, oh, well, they actually went a little more mature with it. So it actually airs at like 5:30 in the morning because they make it in Japan. And they air it super early. So unless you're waking up really early, you're not going to catch it.
I knew kids like that in school.
Yeah. But I remember that. To this day, I remember like all the bullshit lies that like I would just take. Because when you're a kid, you're just trying to impress.
Yes, that's right.
And I feel like we're in a day where, as an adult, I can try to make up things because I just want to impress you.
Mm-hmm.
I turned it into a joke where I'll argue with Dylan, and the ongoing joke about the "it's not Kang" thing of like, well, no, I'm technically right because I got to be right. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very powerful feeling to know things that other people don't and be confident in that. And some people don't grow out of it, and then they make a career out of it.
I'm not going to give a name because I do consider him a friend, but I stopped hanging out with someone that I used to do a lot of gaming with. And the reason is I was playing a video game.
You can say it's me.
No, it's not you. I was playing a video game called Warframe. And, shout out to all my Warframe boys out there. But loved Warframe.
Robots.
No, Warframe's a great game. I love that game. When I first started playing it, I got involved with a group who plays Warframe. And they didn't really know or care who I was or what I was doing. That's normally how you'll get me to play video games with you, by the way. If you pretend you don't know who I am. Because then I can just chat games with you. So
there we go.
But anyway, so this guy would then spout information that he supposedly got from the developers by reading it on Reddit or forums or interviews or whatever.
Yeah.
And me and the other three guys would be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Like, oh man, that's awesome. I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah.
You'd totally buy into it. As time went on, I turned Warframe as a part of our gaming channel, which many people don't even know existed, but it was a part of our gaming channel. And by doing so, I got to become what's known as a Warframe Partner. Now, a Warframe Partner would straight up give you information that was under NDA. So he would then say stuff that was completely contradictory to what was being said by the developers to me, like directly to me. I'm getting to talk to them, but he's heard from a Reddit /forum that the developers are leaking this information.
It's got a source, bro.
Yeah. and I would tell him repeatedly, no, that's not right. So let's just not talk. You're wrong. You're wrong. But he would constantly make up this information.
Yeah.
Once it got so bad that me and a couple of the other guys in that group just stopped hanging out with him.
Uh-huh.
Because every time it would be, I read this, I know this, I found this out.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, dude, I'm literally, I'm a Warframe partner.
Right.
You know that. You know I have direct access. So if you want to make this stuff up, why are you doing it to me? Like,
because it's second nature. Like they don't see like the difference, right? And it's like it's second nature. At this point, it's like that's all I can do. Like I don't.
It's like old people and their Facebook feeds that are just filled with like QAnon nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, that's the bubble they live in.
Yeah.
And so, but like that's kind of what it reminds me of today. Like he just it was feeding on that. I want to be right. I want to have that information you guys don't have. And these websites are doing that same thing. Because right or wrong, they got info you don't got. Yeah. And the biggest part of that info is knowing if it's true or not.
Yeah. Well, I remember like, I knew people who like needed to tell me things like that were just nonsense or needed to be like in this position. And it was like, you're clearly lying or you're clearly trumping up yourself. And it's like, all I wanted to say to these people is just like, you're valuable all by yourself. Like you're good without all that.
Not to prove anything to anyone.
Like we invited you over, man. You can hang out with us and just be you. Yeah. You don't need to add stuff to it, because actually like adding stuff to it makes me want to call you less, and it's like,
and that's exactly what ended up happening with that friend. We started hanging out with him less and less.
Yeah,
because exactly that. He would show up and then start spouting his nonsense.
Do you think there's something connected to that? Like, because like here's the thing, right? Like you'll notice that never gets better, right? Like it never gets better.
Doesn't.
And it's like, is it a thing? Like, is it a? Yeah.
I think
and eventually the friendship ended because like whenever we started hanging out with him so infrequently that he then got offended by it because he wasn't getting invited to things, because every time he would show up, half the discussion would be this random bullshit that he discovered.
Yeah. And you just got to shut it down immediately. You'll be like, yo, we're not doing that. Like, we're not talking about that. Like,
we tried transferring over to Monster Hunter, thinking he wouldn't talk over there, but then he just made up stuff from Monster Hunter. But none of us believed it at that point, and we were like, we're done.
He cried wolf too much. Like, what is that? What is that?
People who they want attention in a way that they probably didn't get from their parents or something. Mm-hmm. Not to psychoanalyze too much, but I used to be like that a lot. I used to not feel comfortable not knowing what things were, or like explicitly like if someone would make a reference, I would like smile and laugh along even if I didn't get the reference. This would happen a lot. And I'd just be like, yeah, haha, because I didn't want to be seen as someone who doesn't know everything on the planet.
Of course.
Right. A lot of people hate that feeling. They hate the feeling of not knowing what's going on.
Feeling left out or
yeah.
But like it's a very powerful feeling to like wake up and be like, I don't know. Like you don't know things because nobody can know everything, and like that's fine.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's fun to like share information with people, and learn stuff as you go. And like it is very good to be comfortable not knowing things, even if that is tough. It's good to work on. Just don't know.
Like, one thing that'll always irritate me, like in the gaming groups, is like I'll jump in these gaming groups to try to explore a game, and there was just another friend of mine that does this stuff. I'll have friends who try to play more than me intentionally, so they can tell me how to play the game. And that's the fastest way for me not to call you back to play a game.
Oh, totally.
There was a friend when Diablo 3 came out. There was actually a group of us playing that one, and a friend of mine who I still talk to today. This guy, it's just a nature of him, so I know what to deal with.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't, and we all got on and agreed we'd play Diablo 3 2 hours every night in this block. So we would do that. And then every time we'd all get off, he'd get back on, play an extra hour so that he could be more leveled, more powerful, more knowledgeable. So the next day, he could tell us where to go. And we'd be like, dude, why are you doing that? Just calm down. We're all going to play it together every night.
Yeah.
And every night, he would play an extra hour. So we'd all catch up to him. He'd play another hour, get past everyone.
Yeah.
Next day, we're all catching up to him. Then it was a constant loop. Like
that's nuts.
Gotta be first.
Yeah, gotta be first. Gotta be the guy with the knowledge, know exactly where we're going, what we're doing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like now, what I do is like if I want to explore a game with a group, I tell them outright, hey, if you get ahead, I won't be playing with you. Simple.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Oh my god. Yeah. What do you do about that? You know, like how do you
with
combat
that guy
that?
I'm still friends with. We just played the game through, and I just got annoyed by it. But that's why I kind of set the rule afterwards.
It's just like a maturity thing, honestly. At least to me, the 24-year-old, like the older I've gotten, especially in recent years, it's very formative years. Like
you're such an old man now, Dylan.
I know. I'm up there. I've gotten used to more and more like the fact that I'm not going to be like on the cutting edge of everything.
Right.
And sometimes I do like go over the deep end and like, you know, get more into a hobby that a friend introduced me to. But I try not to be like a dick about it.
Right.
Like, you know, there's a difference between being like, oh, well, I know better than you now. And just like talking to someone at an equal level at that point. And also like, especially with video games, like I used to be that way too, where I was like, I needed to be the guy in the group who was ahead and knew everything and taught everyone. But now it's like, that's so much responsibility and it's so exhausting that at this point where like if a friend invites me to a game, I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna hang out and play this game and let you teach me how to play this game. And I'm fine not looking into it and not learning the 40,000 thing, go to read the Wikipedia page and like I don't need that anymore.
No,
I'm playing the game release Grounded with Kevin right now because we're making a video for the gaming channel.
I was literally Grounded was the example in my head.
And he's played a little bit, not drastically, but he's played a little bit. But he knows me and he's just letting me figure it out until I ask him.
Yeah.
Hey,
that
where
game
is
especially
this?
It's so good not knowing anything. Grounded is great when you don't know anything.
I love games like that. Grounded, Conan, Raft, Forest, like the cluelessness. Anyway, it goes back to what we were saying. Like, even though gaming is obviously separate from all of this, it does apply to what's happening here because I feel like that's what's happening on the Twitters and everything. They all want to have the knowledge you don't have. So they're spouting it out. But now, thanks to No Way Home, we're in a day and age where people are feeding on it like it's real.
You're right.
Because, you know, hearing rumors about Wolverine being in Endgame, we just go, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why absolutely Marvel and DC didn't exist back then. Because Sal and I didn't want to even, like...
touch that.
We didn't want to touch it because we were like, it's so fake, we're not even touching that stuff. I don't even want to bring it up. I don't want to associate myself with false rumors.
Yeah.
Eventually, we did make Absolutely Marvel and DC, as you guys can see, and now we touch on them and tell you. But even here, I said at the beginning, I don't want to push rumors that we know to be fact to be fake.
Yep.
And if we do bring them up for the sake of clickbait for a video, I want to state it up front. We're denouncing this and debunking it. Like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to make videos like, guys, can you believe what is going to be in Marvel's Multiverse of Madness?
Subtlety and nuance are completely subtlety and nuance have completely like been evacuated from the conversation.
Gone.
So it's like to the point where it's like we can't even like there is a clear distinction, I think, and I'm not saying that just to cover my ass. It really is like there is a difference between making a video where you're like, you guys, here's what's happening. Oh my God. And then giving like all these reasons that are made up that you just like wanted to have happen and then say like, all right, subscribe, I'll see you later. Versus going like, here's what the conversation is right now. Like, do you think this is real? Do you think this is fake? Like, do you think this is a conversation we should be having? And then that's the video. But like, you'll see in the conversation that takes place after the video is released, people going like, this aged like milk. Look at them talking about the thing that they said that they wouldn't be talking about. And I'm like, you don't even know what you're saying. Like, those are two completely different things. And like, just because we talk about the thing that we are denouncing doesn't mean that it's the exact same thing. But like, there is no room or time for subtlety and for like nuance.
I also love to acknowledge the irony of things going, are people talking too much about this one thing as we discuss it?
I think a perfect example of a video we did was back in WandaVision, the last episode of WandaVision, when everybody was freaking out about they removed Doctor Strange.
Rah! Oh my God, yeah.
And we made a video on it, and I think, Benny, you made the joke that like we're talking about it because everyone else irony, blah blah blah. But also like throughout the course of that video, it's us talking about what we think is actually happening, and then getting to the bottom of what actually did happen.
Yeah.
So like it's it's educational to a degree, and it's like not it. I feel like anytime we talk about like a giant rumor or something, it's more so like it could be a thing, but it might not be, and that's okay, and that's how you should approach everything. Not oh my God.
Yeah.
And
not
that
oh my
circles
God.
back to like that tempers your expectations.
Yeah.
So if something is gonna show up, maybe don't think it is 100% for a fact, because that will ruin your experience with the movie or show you're watching if it turns out to not be true.
Well, I think that's only because like of spoiler culture. I think that's because like spoiler culture, like it is, I think it's all connected to spoiler culture because like people want to steal themselves. Like things are rough. People are tired and broke and sick and, miserable, and they want to be entertained and excited, but they also don't want to be challenged or frustrated. And I come to this thing for comfort and joy. And if it disappoints me or subverts me, I don't want to have anything to do with it, or I'm not ready to feel that way. And so I want to be spoiled. Tell me what's going on. And like being like having, oh, it's confirmed this is going to happen in this movie that's not written yet. Right. That is the closest thing to spoiling it that I can do. I can steal you from even expecting things. Like don't even think about what might happen because I've got you covered. Like that. I think that's all part of the whole like spoiler culture that has permeated entertainment at this point.
That's pretty much where we stand with all of this stuff. It's just, are we expecting too much? And I'll admit, I mean, I've been waiting for Daredevil, and when Daredevil doesn't show up, there is a small part of me that's like, oh, again, I gotta wait another episode.
I think that's their fault. In that specific case, that's their fault.
That's their fault.
And you know what? Maybe you're right. Multiverse of Madness, I expected nothing, and I loved that movie. Spider-Man Far From Home, I maybe expected a little too much.
It's No Way Home.
But, so that's pretty much it. Make sure you check out our sponsors. Go to G Fuel, use the code comics at checkout. You go get these super soft shirts that I'm wearing underneath this hoodie. Into the AM, click the link down below. And don't forget, if you want to support this content and keep it going, sign up for YouTube memberships. We'll be right here always, as long as we keep getting support from you guys with your likes, comments, subscriptions, all that kinds of stuff. Thank you. We'll see you next time.